I'm sorry to get breakfast without you.
Oh,
We'll do it another time.
don't fool with me. Oh, no. And the idea of opiates, oh, wow. We were like,
We've been there, I think this year almost once every 10 days or
oh
so.
my God. So Drew, the leader, was a student of mine back
Really?
when I was in school.
We ran into Susie Hill there today. Okay? And she's telling us Drew's wife, her daughter.
Yeah, very close. And our Sarah, too, was part of that group. Good.
He does a nice job.
Oh, and the employees, it's so good.
Yeah.
Get your seniors, they survived the COVID.
Yeah.
And they never had
They did, and I mean today, I don't know if they're giving away, but it was like this was it. We went around 19 Madison was school, so.
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, good. That's, yeah, I didn't know why, but that'll last. So did you have a long wait or?
We waited probably 15 minutes, and your service is usually very fast, which it was.
And you know, I'm taking the kids there, they like sitting at the counter.
Oh, really?
Because you get to see all the action and stuff, so that's, but we take whatever, you know, we can nice.
Guy next to us, I couldn't believe it. Ordered oatmeal. I don't know if we have oatmeal. Yes, we have oatmeal. Then he ordered 6 sunny-side eggs and 3 or 4 pancakes. He wasn't a big guy. I'm watching him eat. He says, I'm hungry.
And I was here.
I've never seen anybody, he says, there have been times when I've eaten 12 eggs a day.
And now with the high cost of eggs, that's really keeping up with that.
I know he raised some of his prices. We always have to get some plate. Because the country coffee, country pancakes,
And I knew it was a grandma.
My favorite. Dutch baby, just like a wall.
Yeah.
Oh, you can never finish it. But we've discovered, is it the silver? 49ers. They're pancake, real thin. And they're so good.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what Dan, that's what the senior special, that's really worth it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
These girls,
No.
995 to be these. Oh, we do. They do.
No, it's just a really.
We don't get out of there under $25.
What else?
You know what? But it's good. And you're full when you leave.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, as they say, when you're watching if you get it right, but I know we've gone.
So Charlie, if here's you, and here's
They get a little.
And we take sometimes an hour or 2. We have to order a separate bowl with cream. And they eat all their pancakes, whatever's on the plate, they will eat.
yes, I'm wearing the same
Absolutely.
shoe as the green.
Okay, so Roy likes that chocolate chip.
Exactly.
And then Reese has
Very,
some
very
peanut butter and, wait, she doesn't like chocolate. So this has a different, I think it's even butter. Peanut butter, like $10. Oh, I know, it is peanut butter chip. And then you can decide, syrup. So that's what it's called.
I could have.
Peanut butter.
I used to have shoes like that.
So
I have shoes that I, yeah, and
this
so
young
I,
woman at 101.
Hello, guys.
You're skipping her all over. I mean, really. You could tell her to slow down for a minute.
You went to Jewish meditation lessons.
No, we've never been here before.
Welcome. Thank you. From where are you? About 11 years ago, I did a fellowship that came in Manchester when it was when the Zuckerman.
Yeah, I know.
It was a live strong.
She said, Drew was one of her students.
It was over 10 years.
She's raised
That's a lot of years.
Yeah.
What brought you here?
We're cold. I'm glad you got it. For me, next time we're back. Hot and cold. Everybody knows that. How you love it. Back. 11 years.
I love Tucson. I can't get my husband here. It's
And if not, I'll see you tomorrow.
to start.
Should I? Hine matov umanahim shever achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanahim shever achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanahim shever achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shever achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shever achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shever achim gam yachad. Shever achim gam yachad. Shever achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to Temple Beth El here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Rabbi Paula Winnig, and I am a member proudly of the Women of Reformed Judaism, the Sisterhood of Temple Beth El, and a member of this congregation. And I'm very grateful to the Women of Reformed Judaism of Temple Beth El for inviting me to help lead tonight's service along with other members of the sisterhood. And I'm grateful to Rabbi Prosnit and Cantor Naimi for sharing their bima with me this evening and for letting us have this wonderful service here in our beautiful sanctuary. I want us to take a moment right now and take an opportunity to just pause. We've had difficult weeks as a Jewish community. We've had difficult weeks as a world, but there's been none that have been quite as heartbreaking as these past few days. And we have a lot of sadness, a lot of rage, and a lot of incredulity, just trying to comprehend the world that we're in today. But it's Shabbat. And Shabbat is supposed to be a time that we refrain from screaming out at the world, and we take time to breathe in the goodness and the peace that our tradition commands us to have every single week. So, taking some of the skills I'm learning from Cantor Naimi's meditation class, let's all take the opportunity to take a long, deep breath. Breathe in for 5 seconds, and breathe out for 5 seconds. And breathe in on the count of 5, and breathe out. And when you take your next breath, think and picture the extra soul that we get on Shabbat, the extra soul that fills us up with a special piece of Shabbat. And as you breathe in, think of that extra soul coming in to block out the difficulties of the past few days and past few weeks, to allow the peace of Shabbat to enter us. The soul in, the soul in. And this time we try to, as we breathe out so that we don't choke, we hold that soul within us and let it fill us as we enter Shabbat. And I share this piece of poetry with you, written by Nikita Gill. It's called Lessons in Trying to Save the World. If you name it hope instead of impossible, if you hold it with tenderness, if you call it the blessing of your ancestors, if you look around and see the faces of everyone you love, trying to save the world with you, then this work becomes love, and even mountains will move. We now turn to page 120 as we bless the Sabbath candles. we have our president council members of sisterhood who are going to be leading us in the candle blessings.
Shabbat candles give light to all behold them. So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
We turn now to page 138 as we celebrate the grand entrance of Shabbat in the image of the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi. And we get to the last verse. We will rise and face our entrance as we welcome Shabbat to our midst.
And we're doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Join me. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai ladadai ladadai bnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu echad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki hi mikor habaracha merosh mikedem nisucha maaseh b'machshachtila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitorari kivahore kumiuri uri shidaberi kevod Adonai anayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uvtzola toch emunei am sekula boi chala Lecha Dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 bnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala
Adonai, 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 B'nai Shabbat Nikabelah.
Our lives have been etched in time by generations before us, by courageous Jewish women who came across the ocean to an unknown land, knowing neither language nor custom.
With fortitude and faith, they made a home, taught the tradition, created a better future for themselves and for future generations of Jewish women. Blessed be the ones who came before us.
We continue now on page 146 with the call to worship the Baruch.
Please rise. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach leolam vaed.
This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly. On the border of light, what lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Avarim.
We turn now to page 152 for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Please join us in the chanting of the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol miudecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzvacha Hayom alavavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dirbarta ba'am, v'shivtaha b'beitecha, uvlektaha b'derech, uvshachtaha uvkumecha, ukshartam al yadeha v'hayu latotafot b'neinecha, uktavtam המזוזות ביתך בשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Hope sits in the trenches, the last one standing, its teeth cracked, its body broken, but its eyes are still gleaming with the light of 1,000,000 lamps.
Its heart is still beating because even here, even now, it knows that a better world is worth fighting for.
Please join me in Mi Chamocha. Let's do that again. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamoch nedar b'kodesh, norah tehilot osei felech, norah tehilot osei felech. Malachut Teharahu v'necha, b'kei hayom l'kim Hashem. Leilianu v'amru, Adonai yimlo, leolam, leolam va'ed. Adonai yimlo, leolam, leolam va'ed. Yailai, yailai, la 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 la, yailai, la 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 la, yailai, la 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 la, yailai, la la.
Please join us on page 160, Hashkivenu.
Okay. Yeah, but I gotta look at it over here.
Why are we here too?
Good.
Let's share, fine. We're gonna share.
We're sharing.
We're sharing.
Ushma teitenu uvoenu lechayim uleshalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Shalom, Hamidenu, Shomrenu, Lechayim, Ufros Aleinu, Kachalmecha, Me'ata ve'ad olam, Me'ata ve'ad olam, Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoreinu lechayim uleshalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam.
turn now to page 164 as we begin the Amidah. The Amidah section of our prayers is a time when we connect both with our ancestral past as well as connecting with the future of asking for peace for ourselves and for the entire world, asking for a respite of pain for all those who are suffering, but most importantly, we ask to come together as a community, uniting our prayers and bringing strength and joy and hope to the celebration of Shabbat and for all the days of the week as well. We rise together as a community and begin on page 164.
Ufi agid techilatecha Anananananana Adonai Ananananana Svaitai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi agid techilatecha Ananananana Adonai Ananananana Svaitai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi agid techilatecha.
We continue now with the first three blessings of the Amidah together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hagol V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atarav L'Hoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechaper Chayim B'Chesed Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Mishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot U'Mito Melech Melech Me'id U'Mechayeh U'Matzliach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh Shimcha kadosh Ikadoshim b'chol yom ya'alu chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We now take the moments to continue the Amidah silently, using the prayers in the prayer book or the prayers of your heart. You may stand or be seated as you wish. We will join together in a few moments on page 181.
Ose shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom.
You can also find the words on page 3 of the handout.
Shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'yakov, 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 Yisrael, ve'yakov, 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 Yoshvei Tevel. V'yimeru amen, v'yimeru amen. We ask for peace on earth and we say amen. V'yimeru amen, v'yimeru amen. We raise our voice as one and we say amen.
It's now my pleasure to turn our bima back over to our rabbi, Rabbi John Prosman.
It's fun to be a Jew in the pew. I'll do it more often. Yeah, thanks, Paula. This is great. The Regent President Amy Bogus has been serving as the president of Universities of Wisconsin Board since 2020, a lawyer and advocate dedicated to championing civil rights and empowering survivors of sexual abuse and domestic violence. And she's represented survivors within the criminal justice system and under federal Title IX, ensuring that their voices are heard and protected. She has done amazingly inspiring work, training others on implementing Title IX at tribal colleges, and has played a pivotal role in organizing, teaching, and collaborating with the Southwest Center for Law and Policy's National Tribal College, co-sponsored and located at the University of Wisconsin Law School. She is deeply committed to advancing educational equity and disability rights, and she also has dedicated her legal skills to advocating on behalf of students and families with learning differences and other disabilities. Personally, it's fun for me to welcome her to the TBE Bima because her family has such amazingly deep roots to this congregation. Even in my short time here, I've been with them in wonderfully beautiful moments and also sad moments. And so we are honored to invite her to the Bima tonight.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. So when Leslie called me and asked me to speak tonight, I didn't understand it was the sermon, and my only goal was to not put you to sleep. So I'm going to see if that happens. Well, I'm looking at all of you. So thank you very much. I am honored to be here tonight among friends, family, and a community in the values that have shaped my life. I grew up in Madison, just a few miles from this very temple. Like many parents, my grandparents arrived in this country as refugees, fleeing the pogroms of Eastern Europe. My mother's family settled in Madison, where she was born and raised. My grandparents, Frida Weinstein and Frank Melnick, were deeply involved in this community. My grandfather was one of the founding members of Beth Israel, where we were members when I was little. However, my family ultimately joined Temple Bethel in large part because one of our greatest community leaders, Rabbi Manfred Swerzinski. My mother shared Rabbi Swerzinski's belief that her daughters, just like her sons, should partake in a bat mitzvah and have the sacred right to be called to the Torah. That belief, that Jewish education, is a cornerstone of our identity and strength. It has guided me throughout my life. Growing up in Madison, I felt surrounded by Jewish life. It wasn't until second grade that I realized how different my experience was from that of my classmates. One day, I proudly announced that I don't celebrate Christmas because I'm Jewish, and I get to have 8 days of Hanukkah. I thought I was making them jealous. Silence filled the room. Then one of my classmates yelled out, "You killed Christ. You're going to hell." I remember the shock, the confusion, the loneliness of that moment. No one came to my defense. No one questioned the absurdity of the accusation. I went home and I told my parents, expecting outrage, but my parents didn't react the way I expected them to. Instead, they told me, the Jewish people have endured thousands of years of anti-Semitism and will endure thousands more. Our survival depends on education, both for ourselves and for those who do not yet understand. Years later, I gave the same counsel to my daughter when history repeated itself, and she came home in tears from kindergarten, sharing a very similar story. That lesson has stayed with me. Education is not just a path to opportunity, it is a moral imperative. Rabbi Noah Weinberg said, the most virulent disease in the world is ignorance. Ignorance breeds hatred, and it festers in silence. Our duty as Jews, as leaders, as people of conscience, is to combat it with knowledge and truth. It is no surprise that I became a lawyer, mostly because I was the youngest of 4, and my older siblings refused to step up. Every Jewish family has to have a few lawyers. In fact, although we make up only 2% of this country's population, 15% of American lawyers are Jewish. And I think my family has at least 5% of that. It's funny, but it's also telling, because we value education, we value community service, and we also needed representation, and we still need representation. It's not just for us, but for serving justice throughout the world. It is no wonder that in 1977, maybe some of you recall, that the Nazis threatened to march throughout Skokie, where so many Holocaust survivors lived. It was a Jewish attorney, David Goldberger, that represented the Nazis. We as Jews deeply understand that justice must be served to everyone, to all of us. We cannot forget that universities had quotas on Jewish students. Columbia, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton had indirect quotas from the early 20th century until the 1960s, and many more. Even the University of Wisconsin had quotas on Jewish students. These quotas subsided, but as the Vietnam War raged and Jewish students stood up and fought to end the war, the university responded with out-of-state admission quotas, drastically reducing the number of Jewish students at the University of Wisconsin. We knew then, as we know now, that we needed to fight not only for ourselves, but for justice everywhere and for everyone. As Rabbi Hillel said, which I all know you know this quote, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?" These words emphasize a balance between self-advocacy, communal responsibility, and the urgency of action. The first part of this, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? It speaks to the Jewish drive for self-improvement and learning. Education has historically been the key to Jewish survival and success. But the second part, if I am only for myself, what am I? It reminds us that knowledge and opportunity must be shared. This is why Jewish communities champion access to education for all. Finally, if not now, when? Calls us to action. Jews do not seek education solely for themselves. They fight to extend those same opportunities to others, knowing that an enlightened society benefits all. When I was appointed by Governor Evers to the University's Wisconsin Board of Regents in 2020, I felt the weight of that responsibility. When I was elected president of the board in 2024, I knew this was an opportunity not just to serve, but to lead with Jewish values. The Board of Regents oversees the 13 universities the public universities in Wisconsin, educating approximately 165,000 students, employing 42,000 people in the state. We are the economic engine of the state. We bring in over $24 billion a year. The University of Wisconsin has a long-standing mission dating back to 1904, when UW President Charles Van Hise co-founded the Wisconsin Idea, declaring that Wisconsin would never be content until the beneficent influence of the university reached every family in the state. This mission was later expanded in 1971 to read, "The mission of the system is to develop human resources, to discover and disseminate knowledge, to extend knowledge and its application beyond the boundaries of its campuses, and serve and stimulate society by developing students' heightened intellectual, cultural, and humane sensitivities, scientific, professional, and technological expertise, and a sense of purpose." Inherent in this broad mission are methods of instruction, research, extended training, and public service designed to educate people and improve the human condition. Basic to every purpose of this system is the search for truth. I don't know if Charles Van Hise, who, with his good side, had a little bit of a dark side, would be happy to hear this, but I believe that the Wisconsin Idea is grounded in Hillel's philosophy. The mission calls us to seek knowledge and spread it everywhere. It's not just for students, faculty, or staff, it's for all who live in this state, this country, and the world. And the universities of Wisconsin has touched and continued to improve the lives of millions. However, our places of higher education, just like all of our institutions, have been under attack. We must continue to advocate for education at all levels. This is the only way to fight the darkness of ignorance. This is just a bit of information of the current state of the universities, and I believe it's really important for all of you to know, to understand how little by little we are trying to take apart the universities. We are woefully lacking in state funding. Many of you have heard that the universities of Wisconsin are ranked 43 out of 50 states in state support. That is dismal. We receive approximately 16% of state funding, and we are the lowest of our peer institutions. But our governor has just proposed his budget for the 2025-27 biennium. It is the biggest budget increase in our history. We are so lucky that Governor Evers fully supports the universities because he understands the importance of higher education. It's not only the right thing to do, but it is economically the best and most wise thing to do. It cannot be more important at a time when we all need to seek knowledge and fight the flames of ignorance. We must all be supportive of our universities at a time when others are trying to tear down our most cherished institutions. Since the system was formed in 1971, only 4 women have been president of the board. I'm also only the 3rd Jewish president of 29 past presidents. My mother's cousin, Lawrence Weinstein, served from 1986 to 1988, and he was followed 10 years later by Sheldon Lubar from 1996 to 1998. And now, in 2024, I take up that mantle, knowing that representation matters. It matters for Jewish students facing anti-Semitism, the highest rate we've ever seen on all of our campuses. It matters for young women aspiring to leadership, and it matters for every student who believes in the power of education in order to transform their lives and the lives of all of our families. As we are coming upon the Festival of Purim, I realize that the story of Esther is not just a Purim tale. It is the story of every Jewish woman who has ever stepped up and stepped forward in the face of injustice. From Miriam leading the Israelites in song to Ruth choosing a life of righteousness, from Jewish women in the civil rights movement to those in this very room, Jewish women have shaped history through courage and justice. Today, Jewish women continue to lead in human rights, education, and social changes. They are judges, they are activists and scholars, and even Secretary of the Department of Administration.
They are all voices of moral clarity. They are the inheritors of Esther's bravery and the guardians of Mishpatim, Jewish justice. Jewish leadership is not about titles, it is about action. Our tradition teaches Tikkun Olam, the responsibility to repair the world. Leadership is about using whatever power we have to uplift others. A midrash teaches, if a person sits in their home and says, "What have the affairs of society to do with me?" they destroy the world. Jewish leadership means stepping into difficult conversations and advocating where justice is needed most. To everyone here tonight, you are leaders. Whether in your home, workplace, or community, your voice matters, especially now. When you speak out against injustice, when you champion education, when you act with integrity, you fulfill the Jewish imperative of Tikkun Olam. Let us continue this work together. Let us repair the world, not just in words, but in deeds. And let us do this with courage, wisdom, and strength that our tradition has instilled in us for generations and hopefully generations to come. Shabbat Shalom. No one fell asleep. Thank you.
In the book of Esther, we read that maybe, Esther, you were born for just this time. Thank you so much for being the head of our great, wonderful university, for making us proud, and for hopefully leading us and the university to better days ahead. What a joy. We're going to turn our thoughts now to those of our friends, relatives, and loved ones in need of prayers for healing. We'll give everybody a moment to breathe in and focus as we now bring to voice in our out loud as we look around the room or say their names in our hearts of those for whom we will join together afterwards in blessing and asking for complete and total healing.
Sheberach avotenu mekor habracha imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
I had hoped this evening to be able to spend some time focusing a little bit on a little-known piece of Reformed Jewish history, which was the role that the women of Reformed Judaism played in making certain that Rabbi Sally Presand and all the other women would be allowed to be ordained as rabbis. And the reason this is important is because it was the women of Reform Judaism who, when some of the men were wavering at the Board of Regents of the Hebrew Union College and other parts of the Reform movement, who basically said, either get it done or you don't have us anymore. We will no longer sit in the sidelines, and we will no longer keep women away from the roles they should have. The reason that's an important story, besides thank God and thank you all for this, is that this year we celebrate another milestone in the history of women in the Reform movement, because this year we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the ordination of the first female-identifying cantor, Cantor Barbara Osfeld. Now, interestingly, it was actually harder for people to conceive of a female cantor than it was of a female rabbi. Because back in their minds, there was that thing called kol isha, that the voice of a woman was going to somehow lead everybody astray. And it still is a problem in the Orthodox circles where women are being ordained as rabbis and are teaching and preaching, but leading services and singing out loud is still really hard for them. And Cantor Osfeld is a woman who, actually, there's now a children's book written about her by Rabbi Sandy Sasso, the first woman ordained by the Reconstructionist movement, that talks about how she kept getting shut down because she was considered to be too loud, that she would sing too loud, or she would be too animated in her expressions of herself. Sounds familiar to any women in the room? And Cantor Osfeld had to go to Hebrew Union College and be told, oh no, you'll just have to mouth parts because we don't have any parts for women's voices. This was the beginning of her education. And she fortunately had the stamina to stand and say, I will sing a part. You will create a part for me. And eventually they realized that having her voice join in was pretty good balance, and that beautiful music and beautiful teaching could come of that. So 50 years, we've come a long way. As when I was ordained in 1986, all of the graduates of the cantorial program were all women that year. It was the first time it had ever happened. So I want to raise that up as an incredibly important milestone. And I want to remind us all that that came about because people came together to say, we as Reformed Jews will stand up for the values we have been espousing for 100+ years at that time. That we will say that equality matters, that we will say that justice matters, and that we will say today more than ever, we need role models that look like the world around us and the world in which we live, so that we have Jews of color represented in our rabbinical and cantorial classes, and that we have people with disabilities who are teaching and preaching and leading congregations today throughout the movement, because we will stand by what we believe, no matter what is going on in the rest of the world. This week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, is a really interesting portion because we come from this great teaching of the giving of the Ten Commandments, being freed from slavery, and being creative in figuring out how Moses and how the people are going to work together and live together. And how is that celebrated in this week's Torah portion? By lots and lots of rules. So, doesn't sound like a really great achievement to come into freedom and then suddenly bind ourselves with rules. But there's two things that are really important about all these rules. One of which is a lot of them though they don't sort of stand the test of time per se, because there are rules about things that, thank God, have been abolished, like taking slaves from as spoils of war and deciding what can be done with them. But yet, if you read the text in their context, in their day, you realize how revolutionary it was for people to say that they had rights too, and they needed to be treated with a level of dignity and respect that was not common in their day. And what's amazing is at the end of all of these rules that are being given, and the people are being told that these are how they're going to have to live, they say, we will do as we have heard. We will do. We will commit ourselves and bind ourselves to building a world that's going to be better, that's going to be a world with values, where we're going to see people and care for them if they need care, and that we're going to support them in building the lives that they should have. As we turn now to Aleinu, we recognize and acknowledge that vision of our prophets and that vision of our people, that no matter what, we will commit ourselves to making the world better for us now and for the next generations to come, so that someday we will really live in a world at peace. We turn to page 587 as we rise for the Aleinu. And we'll be starting on the top paragraph on the page. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tei gedula liyoser breshit, shehu notei shamayim v'yosed aretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim, u'Eloheinu einod, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachanim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. We turn now to page 589 as we read together. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and your word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. And on page 591, we continue. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad u'shemo echad.
A reading for our mothers as well as our fathers. The way I walk, I see my mother walking, the feet secure and firm upon the ground. The way I talk, I hear my sons and daughters talking and hear my mother's echo in the sound. The way she thought, I find myself now thinking. The generations linking in a firm continuum of mind, the bridge of immortality I'm walking, the voice before me and behind.
Recall the recent deaths of Michael Rose, stepbrother of Sherry Minkus, Clarice Wurtzel, member of our congregation, Jerry Schur, brother of Harriet Hyman and Uncle Cynthia Hyman, Mona Passion, wife of Alan Passion, mother of Mark and Judy Passion, and Robert P. Parker, husband of Nancy M. Gordon, father of Alan and Stephen Sherry Parker, and grandfather of Rose and Matthew Parker. We observe the yortzites this week of Jay Abramowitz, John Baker, William L. Blockstein, Shirley Breslau, Joan Buchhalter, Marcia M. Kaminsky, Annabelle Davidson, Eva Deutschkrein, Irving Dinian, Laura Fleischman, Maxine Frank, Robert Brank Fulton, Fanny P. Golper, Shoshana Goodman, Chaim Heimson, Glenn Harvey, Ivor Karp, Saul Kasdan, Ellen Koch, David Coppell, Joseph Krasno, Judy Kravitz, William Lederer, Alan Lemkin, Philip Levy, Hyman Lightman, Bernard Lippman, Charles Mansfield, Hazel Sinaiko Marion, Edith Nemitz, Sandy Nessel, Don Nighorn, Hazel Purcells, Shirley Pittleman, Bernard Rand, Florine Rice, Abraham M. Rubin, Rose Rudder, Blossom Siegel, Marlene Selpian, Herman H. Shapiro, Jerry Schreiberg, William Silverman, Saul Sinaiko, Pearl Smith, Nathan Spector, Clifford Steinig, Leonard Steinig, Dorothy E. Tico, Leon Vodovasov, Sylvia Vodovasov-Stein, and Bruce Wilson. Together with these beloved of our congregational community, we also remember all of those who were murdered on October 7th terror attack in Israel, particularly those whose bodies were returned to Israel this week. Ariel Bibas, Kfir Bibas, Sherry Bibas, and Odette Lifshitz. We also remember in our hearts all of those innocent victims of terror, murder, and war throughout the world. And we pray that someday soon, we will all live in a world of peace as we join together as a community with the Kaddish prayer on page 598 in our Siddur. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayei techol beit Yisrael, b'galav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudashah brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shema, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mrumav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei teva v'imru amen. May God, who is the source of peace, send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all those who share their bereavement. And together we say, amen. Please be seated. I want to take the prerogative of having the microphone to thank Dale Kaufman for her wonderful music this evening, and to Leslie Koff, who arranged all of this service part this evening, and to all of the women of Reformed Judaism, those who participated on the Bima, and those who just are there for everything that the sisterhood does for this congregation and for the world. Thank you so much. And I'm also very proud that we have so many women from this congregation who have served on the regional and national boards of the Women of Reformed Judaism. We have been very well represented by women who have really helped change our Reform movement and our world, and I'm very proud to get to be a member with them. Our closing song is in your handout on page 4. Written by the amazing Alana Arian.
Rabbi Krosner, come up too. You have it on the second page now, but on the first page.
There's a third page too. missing my capo.
Do you want to use mine?
Sure. We're sharing.
Now I don't have to play.
They call that a callback. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I have a voice. Join us.
I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Repeat after me, friends. I will open my eyes.
I will open my eyes.
I will not look away.
I will not
Together
look
we say,
away.
I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself.
I will give of myself.
I will reach out my hand.
I will reach out my hand.
I will use this strength I've been given. Take a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asanu b'tzelem Elohim. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth.
I will fight for the truth.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I will use this strength I've been given to be alive. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, we have Kiddush. Yes.
Yes. Okay. And Jacob, you can do it with us. Okay. Kiddush, join us.
Yes.
On page
123. Here we go. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron le'maaseh bereshit Ki hu yom tehila le'mikra'e kodesh Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Chaim.
There's like just a blow off basically. It comes off.
I'm doing that so it doesn't splash all over
It's an
you.
old one.
Nice.
There's a trick to it, I guess. I suppose there is.
There's a trick. Thank you. Hi. Good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Please join us for
We'll join one another for Oneg out in the community court.
Nice.
Shabbat shalom. Well, thank you. Shabbat shalom. Nice sneak. Hug. By the way, I'll reinforce that Oseh Shalom next week so that it can come into the rotation.